Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, your retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to talk about car travel with toddlers. So, first things first, me and my husband are not big drivers. So the longest trip we will likely ever take is maybe 6 or 7 hours. And that's it. Otherwise, we fly. And I did an entire video on flying with children. We're just not into that. On top of that, I have a DVT issue, which is essentially deep vein thrombosis, blood clots in my legs. So I'm a risk for that. So long car rides are not a good idea. It's easier to take short plane rides. We will deal with that further when we fly internationally. One day. But in this video, we're specifically going to be talking about car travel. Now, I'm doing 4 videos total in this series. This is my pre-travel video when it comes to car rides, because the trip we're currently taking to Idaho involves us driving up a mountain for like 2.5 hours or so to visit my husband's family in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. So we have actually taken a few test trips because we live in a metropolitan area. We live in the suburbs of the American West, specifically Arizona. So yes, Phoenix is a giant suburb. So we don't really need to drive that far to get where we need to go. And my husband works from home from a company that doesn't have a base anywhere. It's entirely online. So we don't drive that much. Our daughter is not used to long car rides. We go grocery shopping, which is probably no more than the longest she's been on a daily basis is about a half an hour. We did do a trip up to a little town called Jerome recently as a test trip, and this was up into the mountains. So we were testing to see how she did with ear issues and going up to the mountains. She actually did perfectly fine. She did not sleep all the way up there. She took a nap on the way home. So that was our test flight. This was something that was recommended when I asked a few questions online, and somebody suggested do some test runs where you return home, kind of thing, just to get kids used to being in the car. So we've done that. We had gone down we did another 45-minute drive, both there, that's one way, to get a kitten. So she did okay with that. But again, we went up to the mountains to test the hearing, because again, changes in altitude, just like planes going up to the mountains, you mess with your ears. So we wanted to test that in the car. So we did that test drive. She did very good. Our lesson was we didn't bring enough snacks. So big thing, both plane and car, snacks, and more snacks. They have a tendency to distract small children. So let's get on with the rest of the video. So let's see. This is a lot from my own research. I've done research both for the 2-year-old, and then this trip was postponed due to COVID-19. So it was originally supposed to be last summer, right around the same time. So I did a little bit of research for that previously and added it to this video. So our daughter would have been 1. In this case, she's now 2 as of this video. So this is kind of some of the information that I've gotten. So best time to leave, and this varies. A lot of times if your kids have a tendency to nap in the car or basically sleep in the car, you can leave early in the morning so they'll sleep, go back to sleep while you do some leg of your journey, or basically pick some time around nap time. All right. I don't know about driving at night. I don't like to drive at night. My husband doesn't like to drive at night. I don't think it's very safe to drive at night. That is my opinion, but we are not people who like to drive. So I do not, however, recommend that, and most people wouldn't, do not drive straight through if you're driving. Tired driving is as bad as drunk driving. I knew a kid in high school who was both doing a camping trip with friends and trying to be part of a golf tournament for our school, who tired driving, he ended up in a car accident, and he had some spinal issues and couldn't feel his feet for a long time. So tired driving equals drunk driving. It's not a good idea. It's just not. So moving on. So that was planned to leave. So our plan, we're probably going to leave our hotel in the morning, because again, we're flying to our destination, renting a car, and then driving the next day. And that's the other thing that we are doing. Because my child is young, and because this is her first plane ride, We don't want to go in from being on a plane in an airport confined to driving for 2 hours in the same trip. It's just not something we think was a good idea for this first trip. So we are staying the night in Boise, and then we are driving. And then we are doing the same way on the back. We are driving back, spending the night, and then we are flying out the next day. So that's how we're doing it, just to break it up. And if you can, and your kids aren't used to driving like ours, particularly if this is the first trip and you're not quite sure how it's going to go, this is what I recommend you do. And however, if your kids are more experienced drivers or not drivers, writers and flyers, trust your kids and you know your own instincts. So, but for this trip, we're going to do it in 2 legs just so we can get used to it. And again, she's 2, so it's a little different. So how we stop. Now, as much as me, the massive planner, yes, if you hadn't seen my plane video, I will bring this up again. This was me and my husband's honeymoon binder. I print everything out. From hotel reservations to plane reservations to car reservations, I print everything out and have it in a binder. This is the binder for the current trip. That was a 3-week trip. That was our honeymoon a couple of years ago. So, yet, not to mention it's a good souvenir. So this is our current binder. As of right now, I think we still need to print out hotel reservations. I have to have my husband do that because he made them. So he has the emails. But I do that. I print out basically the plane reservations, rent-a-car stuff, hotel reservations, any sort of tickets, have a print copy. I know this is the digital age, but technology doesn't always work. Sometimes your phone dies, or you can't get reception, or something happens. So it's, as much as you're adding more luggage, it's good to have the physical thing, including physical tickets, just in case. We did that for our honeymoon. We did the Maid of the Mist, as you do in Niagara Falls, printed those tickets out. They have a zip line over part of the falls, and we did that. So I again printed out the tickets for that. I'm trying to think if we did anything else specific. I think those were the 2 major things we had tickets for. But yeah, I always recommend that print that out. I learned this from my mother, oddly enough. When we would go on vacation, she always had that binder. And so I picked that up from her. And even though we're in the digital age, I still do it. And with our honeymoon binder, it's a memory of our honeymoon. So I can go back to that and show our kids, this is specifically where we stayed. This is what we did in some cases. So we have that. So moving on. So we plan to leave in the morning because we're going up a small mountain road that's currently under construction because we're crazy. And again, we're not crazy. My husband's aunt decided to live up in the middle of nowhere in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. So, and this is where more specifically, this is where his grandparents followed. And so his grandmother is out there. That's the entire point of this trip, is to see my husband's 98-year-old grandmother, because she's his 98-year-old grandmother, and we have not seen her since we went up there in 2017, right before we got married, back when I was still the girlfriend and being shown off as the girlfriend. So, and I think we'd been dating for a matter of months, but yeah, we were in our 30s, so we did this rather quickly. Moving on to the actual trip, rather than me and my husband. So we plan, it's going to take about 2 hours. We'll stop where we can. So one of the big advices with longer trips, is plan out your stops if you can. We can't, again, this is a 2-hour trip up a mountain road. So it depends on our toddler. I'm hoping not to stop at all, but we will see. So plan out your stops, know where you can stop. Again, the furthest we would drive is maybe 6 to 7 hours, and that's to a neighboring state. Either in our case, my in-laws who live in California, or some national parks in either Utah or New Mexico. I don't think we'd ever plan to drive to Colorado, but that's because I don't think there's anything on the border. So plan where you can stop, which is important in places where I am, like we're in the Midwest. Or not the Midwest, the Southwest. Long stretches of desert. So back east, it's maybe slightly less important because everybody's kind of crammed into places. But if there's Not a lot of stops on your way. Make sure you know where you can stop. And make sure you stop probably every couple of hours. Even if you don't have kids, don't try to do these things. And I say this from talking to ICU nurses when I had a DVT. Truck drivers have issues where they end up with deep vein thrombosis. They end up with blood clots because you're sitting down, and if you can't move around and move your legs around and make sure that blood is flowing, you're risking your life. So don't do that whole 8-hour stretch. It's not good for you. Better not die, because DVTs or blood clots are dangerous. They get to your heart, they get to your brain, they get to your lungs, and you die. So you don't want to die. So make sure you stop periodically. Don't do a whole 8-9 hours without being able to get up and move. So planes are different because, again, you can get up and move. And yes, pilots do the same thing. That's the reason there are 2 of them, is so they can take a break and get up and move. So moving on, because eventually, as much as I want to plan our trip, there's not a lot of places to stop. So, and I do know where we can stop, and my husband knows this route. He's been driving up, well, not himself driving up this road. He's been driven up this road dozens of times because he's been going up to this town since he was a kid. I think since he was like 10. They used to drive from California because crazy. Moving on, food. Now, this is similar to my plane video. Snacks, snacks, and more snacks. Everything I can raise gets snacks. If you're doing longer trips, make sure you stop for a meal and rest. So if you're going to be driving all day, make sure you plan somewhere to stop, to get lunch, to get out of the car, to relax a little bit, let the kids run around and burn off energy. So that's the always important thing. You're going to need to stop to let the kids go to the bathroom, run around, burn off some of that energy because they don't want to be cooped up in the car. It's good for you as well. Again, circulation of blood and the whole not wanting to die thing. So, as I said, we're only driving a couple of hours up into the mountains. So we may stop, we may not stop. It depends on my toddler. But we are planning to stop by the Trader Joe's in Boise to pick up some extra supplies in case we need it. And besides bringing stuff, which we are in fact packing stuff. So we're able to do that. Otherwise, make sure you pack snacks. Make sure you have water and drinks. Don't drink coffee early in the morning if you're going to be going on a hard ride. Coffee is a diuretic. That means it's going to make you pee. So it's not necessarily a great thing to drink a lot of coffee. My mother has done that far too many times and needed to pee incessantly. We don't do caffeine in this house. Me and my husband were addicted for years. We've since given up. So moving on. So distractions. Sorry. Distractions. Tablets. And I've read this on pretty much all travel sites. Screen restrictions are out the window when you're on vacation, particularly when you're traveling. It's a good way to keep kids distracted. Coloring books are another good thing. Various audiobooks. Again, our toddler is too young for really audiobooks. But audiobooks are a great thing. If they can read in the car, I couldn't. I take motion sickness medication. I'll be taking that on this trip as well and giving it to my child because I don't want to find out if she gets car sick. She doesn't seem to, but again, I would prefer not to find out. So Dramamine, children's Dramamine. They have children's chewable Dramamine. So hopefully, I don't know what you do with infants. There might be something. They might prescribe some sort of liquid. But yeah, motion sickness medication. I prefer not to find out my child throwing up in the car. So it's just a preference. So I'm skimming my notes here. Audio, you can download ebooks. Use your digital library. Most libraries go through Overdrive and you have the Libby app and you can get ebooks. It's easier. With little kids, you can't really do that. If they're reading, obviously, chapter books, that's great. For toddlers, you may be able to have some. We're bringing some board books. I have an entire video on what we're bringing, board book wise. So my daughter likes to be read to. My husband, we may switch up when we drive up here. We may let him drive an hour and then me drive an hour. Um, so he may be able to reach her. I can't. Again, motion sickness. And even with a Dramamine, I can't focus in cars. I'll get sick. So, and I prefer not to get sick. So, but audiobooks, ebooks, if you don't really, physical books occasionally. I prefer the ebooks when you're traveling because you can't risk losing anything. Utilize your library for both. Hoopla is another thing. I plan to download some videos for my daughter to watch. So something new on her tablet. Yes, she has a tablet. It's my husband's old used one because, again, she's 2. So stuff to distract her. The other things you can do, old driving games, find things out the window, sing songs, play music. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Other distractions. Coloring. We bought my daughter some weird ink dotting thing that my husband bought. We also bought these weird, it's foam clay stuff that doesn't dry out. So you also have non-dry out clay, something you can do. One thing I went back and forth and ended up deciding not to is you can buy car lap decks that hook with car seats. We're not doing them because I think my toddler's not going to get anything out of it right now because she's too little. But it is recommended. There's a variety of different websites that sell these things that will fit around the car seat that gives kids the chance to draw and write and do stuff and have a table in front of them when they're driving. So you can do that as well. Again, we haven't tried that out because I think my toddler is too young. I did think about it though. Let's see. Also, again, movies, TV shows, stuff that can distract them. Workbooks, if your kids are older, so give them something to do. So anything you can think of that's not really tiny, small pieces that they can be distracted with, both tablets or other stuff. So again, and snacks. Snacks. Everything I read, snacks. So we're doing snacks. Because again, we have a toddler who likes to snack. So I intend, like I said, we have YouTube videos that we're downloading. We have some kids-friendly videos that I'm downloading. And we stop as often as we need to. And that's most of what I have for car driving. So make sure you stop, get distractions for the kids from videos to TV shows downloaded on their tablets, ebooks, audiobooks, do games. You can look at things out the window, I Spy, various different cars, look at license plates. One of the things, I'm trying to think what else we did. I grew up in Hawaii, so we didn't really do a lot of long car drives either. So, singing songs, I don't think we're going to do that because, again, my child's not really into singing songs. But also coloring books, different activities. Magnet boards was another big thing that people did. A lot of people would get old just cookie sheets and use those as magnet boards. So, or whiteboards, or ability to draw or use chalk or something. Anything that can distract them and give them something to do. Hopefully they can nap a little bit. And again, snacking. So various different distractions. So that's really how you kind of survive on plane trips or on car trips. Sorry, plane trips are very similar. Plenty of snacks. Make sure you know where you're going to stop, particularly for those longer trips. Plan to get out for a meal. Stretch your legs, eat, not be in a moving vehicle for a while. Personal opinion is I don't want to find out if my kid gets car sick. So Dramamine. If you're against chemicals and your kids can swallow a pill, Dramamine has a natural thing, which is essentially ginger pills. So ginger is well known for motion sickness for centuries. So that's one of the good things. Maybe ginger ale, but I don't think that's as long lasting as the ginger pills. I took them when I was pregnant. Yeah, completely natural. Nothing else really worked. The ginger pills are what worked, particularly since I didn't particularly like ginger tasting. Used to drink ginger ale like crazy, can't stand it anymore. Tastes change when you have kids. But distractions, like I said, always plan to stop, even as adults. Stretch your legs. You don't want to risk getting a DVT. I think I wouldn't be surprised if truck drivers use compression stockings and have other ways for them to not risk their lives, and never, ever, ever drive when you're tired. Find a place to pull over and stop because it's as bad as drunk driving. You can easily die, kill yourself, kill your family. do not drive when you're tired. And I wouldn't be big on driving at night anyway. I mean, obviously, there are people who are far more experienced than I am when it comes to driving, but truck drivers who are tired and trying to move are not really the best thing to interact with on a dark road at night. So again, that's my opinion. But of course, me and my husband aren't big drivers, so we're just not. I would prefer to fly if we're going too long a distance. The only reason we're debating whether or not we're going to fly to California at some point. So we will see how this trip goes. So that is really about it. The other thing is, and I mentioned this in my flight video, since we are flying and then driving, we did purchase our own. I bought a travel car seat. So if you're planning to do something similar to what we're doing, where you're renting a car and driving, that's something I recommend. Is we bought a Cisco. What on earth was it? Yeah, it was a Costco something. I will link them. Check my video for plane rides. It's not from Costco. I bought it at Walmart. It's a cheap. Basically, it's a cheap car seat. All car seats go through the same thing. Make sure of that. All car seats are safe. This one just happens to be light and small and fit on the airplane because we're gonna as I said in my airplane video, we were putting her car seat on the plane. But bring your own car seat. That's my big recommendation. If you were renting a car, bring your own car seat. If you were flying within your own country, in our case, the continental U.S. So otherwise, other countries have different rules when it comes to kids' restraints. So always double check that. With our case, again, we're flying within the U.S. So we're bringing our own car seat. We're putting it on the plane. You don't have to. Check my airplane video for that, more explanations. So, and yes, technically you can get the car seats through the rental company. We have AAA too. We could do that. But again, you don't know what they consider an accident. You don't know if they're checking the expiration dates on these things. So you don't know if it's safe. So bring your own, buy it. In our case, we bought a cheaper car seat because we're taking it onto the plane and we want something that's going to fit in the seat. We have what do we have? We have a Graco or something. I think it's a Graco. We have one of the all-in-ones that'll last to my daughter's like 6. That's staying home. I don't want that damaged while we're traveling. So we have the other cheaper one, which is actually sitting next to me in a bag. So, but that is it for this review. If you like what you see, check out my plane review. I will do 2 more travel reviews for this trip. So to kind of give you the experience of what it was actually like flying with our 2-year-old and driving into the mountains. So those will be obviously once we are done with the trip. By the time you see this, yes, we will be done with that trip. I am not having these things published while we are not going to be home. This is being published. This is being filmed on August 7th. We are leaving on the 10th. This will come out, I think, the following week. So that is it. If you like what you see, check out the rest of my channel, which is mostly book reviews and family film reviews. That's the meat and potatoes of this channel, along with a few secular, non-religious homeschooling videos I throw in there on occasion because we are a homeschooling family. Basically because we want to travel. We want to be able to travel without the restrictions of school. So I do a sprinkling of those. I'll probably get more as my child gets more into school again. At this point in time, she's 2. So, but be sure to check out the rest of my channel. Like and subscribe. Thank you.